Parker to Enterprise. Beam us up, Scotty.
What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here. After that last downer of a video, I felt like talking about something positive. So I'm going to do a solo review on the new album from Sims entitled More Than Ever. For those of you that don't know, Sims is a member of the Doomtree Collective, which also includes p.o.s, DEHH, Myke McLawn, Cecil Otter, Paper Tiger, and Laserbeak. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody. But these guys have been one of my favorite hip-hop collectives since I first discovered p.o.s.'s Audition some 10 years ago. And the greatest thing about these guys is they're a great example of a modern Wu-Tang in that each member is completely different and brings something unique to the table. No two MCs sound the same or offer the same exact perspective. It's because of this that it's gotten to a point now where I can't even isolate one MC as my favorite. You know, each member is my favorite depending on my mood or the particular song. And on Doomtree's last collaborative album, All Hands, which came out last year, I feel like Sims stole the show on the majority of the songs that he was on. So I was really interested to see what he did with his first solo album since that release. And the first full-length album since 2011's Bad Times Zoo. And what we have here is another great addition to Sims' discography, but one that is completely different from all of his other releases. And I'm not going to say that this is the best thing he's done. I'm still listening to it and enjoying it and processing it, but I'm also not going to argue with anyone that feels that way. What I'm seeing here is an MC that is really creating his own space and identity. You know, he's growing as an MC as well as a songwriter, which is really important. And this album really makes it hard for anyone to debate that sentiment. Starting with Bad Flying Bird, we're treated to a great minimal beat that still hits really hard. We also have plenty of those Sims smart-ass and witty lines. But the first thing that I notice is how great the hook is here. This is something that a lot of indie rappers don't put a lot of work into. And the hook works, it sounds great, but it doesn't sound forced. I want you to say something different for me. Wake up. All you do is play dumb. Rolling into Icarus, the momentum is kept up. Another hard-hitting beat with some great drum work, some great synth lines, and a standout verse where he says, I ain't stressing, count my blessing, I go right into it. Burn the brightest till it's done, right into the sun. More cognitive than dissonant. They call me Icarus. I'm not going in order here, but Brutal Dance. This is easily one of my favorite songs on this album. The way the beat progresses is done so extremely well. It's almost like a tension is building. The beat moves and slithers in such an interesting way. And the way that Sims works with it is really dope. I always like the way Sims puts things into an abstract but vivid way. I feel like I feel life too much. I feel high, I feel low, I feel both, I feel fucked. I've been thinking on my sins for the last 4 blocks. That's 2 Hail Marys and a half-court shot. And I love the way it rolls right into 100, which is a super hype track and another easy standout track on this album. It's not a party jam, but it's one of those songs that you can see performed live to a crowd that all of them have their hands in the air. And the line, I've been living in a fish bowl, that will easily be in your head the rest of the day. But it's also this line that stuck out to me. I stopped tripping about the powers that be, started thinking with the powers of 10. Now, I don't talk to any of the artists before I review an album, so I can only come up with my own interpretations of their lyrics, but I assume what he's saying here is when it comes to your personal perspective of the world, it sometimes helps to not really focus on the minutia and maybe focus more on the overall aspect of things, you know, moving your worldview out in degrees of 10. You know, this is a theory that's been floating around since the 70s that I've always thought was fantastic, that you are only a starting point, and you have to realize that there are things that are so much bigger and so much smaller than you are, and those things can arguably be seen as so much more important than you are. Now, I could be completely off base. That's just my own interpretation. Take it as you will. Spinning Away was another of my favorite jams. You know, the moment where he's talking about being on an airplane, looking out the window. You know, the same airplane as a young boy who's on there for the first time, who seems to be alone. And he says, can you picture that? Was the picture looking back, and several curtains closed and lift, and I sat stiff, supposing this was it. That moment was a monument. Did not intend to get so morbid, but I never felt more out here in orbit. Then he goes on to repeat, "Are you out here spinning too?" And when that beat with the swells and the almost industrial feeling comes in, it's so powerful. Such a great lead up moment with a fantastic payoff. What They Don't Know is another favorite song. You know, an example of how creative of an MC he is. You have a fast rolling beat and it's really dope how he raps over this. Great breath control and a flow that works extremely well here. The record slows down a bit after this, and I don't mean that as far as quality, but the latter half of this album is a bit slower in feel, which isn't a detriment at all because there are still some fantastic songs on this part of the album. Badlands, for example, has such a great, almost electro beat that Sims rocks very easily and hits us with some more great lines. While you were breaking into the ad world, I was breaking rules with the Glad Girls. Voltaire is a fantastic song. While the beat isn't loud or booming, it creates an almost airy atmosphere which goes so well with Sim's voice, and when he gets hype on that second verse, it sounds so fucking good. The closing track, Gospel Island, is also great. Again, I love how he works with the progression of the beat to make us feel like he's taking us on a journey lyrically, and the way the end of the song goes out, it's a perfect ending to this album. You know, not to get all sappy and corny, but as the organs hold their note, you can just imagine standing on a mountain, you know, somewhere just looking out over the edge or staring out into a large body of water, kind of meditating and musing about what you just experienced. This was a brilliant way to close this album out. Now, I read that Paper Tiger and Laserbeak handled their production on this album. I don't have my physical copy yet, so I could be incorrect. Hopefully I'm not. But I can say that these are some of the most interesting beats that Sims has rapped over. You know, a lot of people think you can't make obvious waves in hip-hop music without being overly avant-garde, you know, but I think that the Doomtree producers have shown that this simply isn't true. Their beats can be grimy, their beats can be dirty, but their beats can also be upbeat and hopeful sounding. They can also be dreamy and contemplative, and all those different sounds lend perfectly well to Sim's style of rapping and songwriting. What's so great about what Sims is doing here is he's creating hip-hop that, while not saying fuck you to accessibility, is still promoting musical individuality, showcased through a product that's honest and true to himself. And I gotta say, I enjoyed the hell out of this project. And again, I can't with all conscience say that this is the best thing he's done, but I also can't honestly argue with anyone that holds that feeling. So that's it. If you've heard this project, make sure you go drop a comment in the comment section down there. Let me know what you thought about it. If you've not heard it, jump over to his Bandcamp, give it a listen, and if you like it, make sure you support it by purchasing it with dollar bills. Alright, make sure you go check him out on a tour. I'm gonna put the link to his tour dates in the description section down there. And yeah, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright?